Hi, my name's Gino. I ride for Born Losers right now on Prospector. Okay. And this is the 23 Indian Springfield. 23 Indian Springfield. I got everything stage 1, high flow air filter, zombie tab. Sounds good. And I plan on getting 585 cams.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I plan on getting some things done to it, at least probably by the end of the year. Yeah, because I'll be going out to Daytona and everything. We just got back now from like a few months ago. We went from Port Wentworth to Tennessee to Alabama, Alabama to Atlanta and back.
Okay, you did it all in your Springfield.
Yeah.
Nice. How'd that treat you?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
All right.
I loved it. My first time having a bike like this too.
Is it really? What were you on before?
I've had Can-Ams, I've had sport bikes. It's my first time getting a big size touring bike.
Man, look, I tell you guys all the time, the 116 with the slip-ons from Tab Performance makes it sound like a dragster. It's got that chop, just sounds real good, man. This is a perfect example of it. Hey, man, I appreciate you taking some time out.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Savannah Stilettos, it's actually a national organization, and we are the Savannah Stilettos. So Stilettos on Steel is a national organization. We're the Savannah chapter. This is our regional coordinator, and these are all the sisters. And we have a few more, too, that aren't here today. Well, we get together, we support each other. It's all about supporting other female riders and them getting out and enjoying themselves and learning about motorcycles.
www.stilettosonsteel.com.
Peoples, what is going on? I am Finesse, and we are here in the Finesse Garage because today we are going to be finishing up the repairs on this Chief. Here on the table, I have everything that we're going to be installing today. The rear brake caliper and the left side lever or clutch lever. Something to note, when you order the brake caliper from Indian Motorcycle, this brake caliper already comes pre-installed with the brake pads, so you don't need to buy an extra set of brake pads when you buy the caliper. It's coming as one unit, which is what the owner did here. They bought a set of brake pads, but you know, when you're ordering stuff, you know, there's just something to be aware of. So the owner can either return that or they can keep that for later use because, you know, brake pads are a wear item, so something good to have if need be. And of course, I've got the grease, I've got the brake fluid. So this shouldn't be a long process today. So without further ado, let's get it rolling. All right, we are gonna start by taking off this lever. Work that out, and once you get to this point, all you have to do is pull it around and then it slides out. All right, so that's it for the lever. Now we're gonna move to the back of the bike to get this rear caliper on. All right, so we kind of hit a roadblock here. I got the bike jacked up and I was ready to get the caliper on. But when I went to put the caliper on, there's not enough clearance in here. And I thought I was gonna have to take this rear wheel off to do it, but that shouldn't be the case. The brake caliper should slide right into this area here. So if we are looking at the brake caliper here, let me get this spacer out. All right, you should be able to put this on and then slide it back. All right. But this part of the bracket for the caliper is bent, and it's not bent a lot. It's slightly bent, but there's not enough clearance in here. All right, so with this being slightly bent, that's gonna cause an issue because the rotor is gonna be pushed too far in. And this is something that you just couldn't see visually when I did the first inspection of the bike, because like I said, the bend is just so slightly bent. But nonetheless, I gave a call to Indian Motorcycle, and they're gonna order those parts. And fortuitously, since the owner had bought the brake pads cost about the same as this bracket, so it's not gonna cost them anything extra. So that's the good news. The bad news is that since it has to be ordered, this particular piece, it's just gonna take a couple of days to come in. So we hit a little bit of a roadblock, but that's okay. Parts are on the way, and once we get that done, then we'll get this bike back on the road. But you know, before we do that, we got to get it checked out by the service team to make sure all these repairs are 100%. Now, it has been a little bit since the last video. We've been dealing with some weather, plus I had to wait on parts to arrive, and I've got the part, which I'll show you guys here in a second. So I've got the bike jacked up already. We're gonna get this rear tire off. We're gonna get the piece that we ordered off of the bike, and then I'll show you guys the comparison of the two. All right, so we're here at the workbench, and this is the old bracket for the brake, and this is the new one. And this one was bent, and I'm telling you guys, it is ever so slightly bent. Like it was almost unnoticeable. If we're looking down here, you can see along this edge, there's a bit of a gap there. It kind of curves over like a little hump, whereas this one is flat on the table. All right, so it's got a little bit of a curve, and this one here is flat on the table. I mean, it's like millimeters. It's really close, but nonetheless, it is bent, and a small bend here is going to equal a large bend down here, And, you know, you wouldn't be able to tell just right off the cuff if you're just looking at it, you know, on the outside. So little things like this do pop up as you're repairing things, because once you start uncovering stuff, then you start finding other things. All right, so fingers crossed this is the last thing that we have to contend with before the repairs are complete. So let's get this thing on and get rolling. All right, so I've got the new bracket mounted, and this here is the moment of truth. So we've replaced the brake rotor, we replaced the axle rod, we replaced this brake plate. I'm assuming that there's no damage here on the swing arm, because I don't see any marks or anything like that. So hopefully the swing arm is not bent, and that plate with that little bitty bend was our issue, all right? So this goes on this way. We're gonna slide it onto the brake rotor, if I can get it in there. All right, slide it on the brake rotor, see if it slides back into place, and it does. And there's even a little bit of room in there, so it's not binding up like it was before. So just that little bitty bend that I showed you guys earlier made all the difference when fitting on this brake rotor. But enough of that, let's get this thing in. Okay, so in the rear brake reservoir, there's still some fluid. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pump the brake until I see the fluid come out. I'm hoping that there's gonna be enough to where the fluid comes out with no bubbles or anything like that. And then all we have to do is close off the rear caliper and then just fill this reservoir. All right, the repairs on the Chief are complete, and we're gonna take the bike out for a test ride just to make sure everything feels like it's supposed to feel before we get it inspected. But I just wanted to give you guys the breakdown of everything that was purchased for this Chief. All right, so the turn signal on the left side, that was $89. There was a spacer for the turn signal, that was $8.99. The rear brake caliper, that was $434.99. The rear brake pads was $74, but we didn't need those, so those were returned. And instead of that, we got the bracket for the brake caliper to go on, because we found out later that that was bent. So, but coincidentally enough, it cost just about as much as the brake pads. I think there was only like a couple of dollars there. At any rate, I'll have it here on the screen for whatever that price is. So the brake rotor, that was $369.99. A hex flange screw, those were $4.99. There were 6 of those. So it was just under $1,000 in parts. So for my portion, it was 3 hours of work for me to get all of these parts put on the bike. So $1,000 in 3 hours, doing something like this yourself, you know, you'll be able to save a little bit of coin. Now, I don't know how much it's going to charge us to have the bike inspected, but you know, those are things that you're going to have to weigh when you're looking at, or if you're possibly looking at doing this type of work. All right, but so enough of this garage, enough of repairs. It's time to put some gear on, and then we're going to get outside. So we are outside, we're all geared up. We are gonna get over to the bike. What you see right here, I got my camera set up, and I'm gonna get this camera set up as well, so that we can get this thing rolling. All right, and of course the battery is dead. All right, so take two. Now you're also going to notice that the owner has some LEDs installed on the bike. I do not have the remote, nor do I know how to turn that off. Now obviously this bike is not set up for me because it's for a short person. So you can see my legs are like really, really bent. Bike ride's good. There's no, I mean, this road is kind of bumpy, but I don't feel any kind of wobble or anything with the bike. I'm gonna have to get on a smooth road here. All right, so this is relatively smooth. Bike is feeling good, man. Oh yeah, that rear brake is nice. That engine pulls. All right, y'all, and just like that, we are done. I had a great time working on the Chief. It is just a fantastic platform. It's easy to work on. Everything's accessible. And if you have done any repairs like this before, or maybe you're thinking about doing some repairs, put it down in the comments. Also in the comments, if there's any tools or anything that I used on here that are, you know, like outside of the norm, I have all of those links down below as well, to include cameras, gimbals, you know, so on and so forth. So if there's anything that you see that I'm using, or if you're curious about anything that I'm using, if it's, like I said, if it's out of the ordinary, it'll be down in the comments. I look forward to hearing from you guys. And just like that, man, ride every day. And most importantly, make sure you're enjoying it. Peace.